Hey, I'm Stella, and welcome to the Block 101 podcast, where you'll find the brightest minds and projects in the emerging tech industry. Today, I have the pleasure to speak with Vladimir Trkulja. Vlad is an innovation consultant at Unicef, focusing on discovering and piloting tech products that can improve the lives of children. Let's jump in. Hi, Vlad. Thank you so much for making it to the podcast. How are you today?
Hey, Stella. Really good. Looking forward to chatting with you and recording this podcast.
Yes, me too. So tell us a little bit more about what you're doing at the Unicef. So you're a venture fellow and an innovation consultant. So what's a typical day for you like, and where are you based at the moment?
I'm based in Belgrade in Serbia, and I've been with UNICEF for like the last 4 or so years. And I started as a venture fellow working with the UNICEF's Global Innovation Fund and the sourcing teams from the West Balkans and putting them in the UNICEF's programs. And eventually I migrated my role to more like consulting type, where I focus on different kinds of innovation and work a lot with Serbian country office of UNICEF in supporting them with everything related to innovations, and also doing some global stuff which are mostly focused on blockchain. And my day is usually like everybody who works in this domain, a lot of meetings, a lot of Zooms, Teams, whatever kind of meetings, and discussing ideas, ideating, making pilots, prototypes, partnerships, and just trying to find good teams and good companies to make some interesting stuff in the future with.
And you mentioned the Innovation Fund. I'm actually very glad that you mentioned that, because that was my next question. Very few people know about that fund. I actually didn't even know about it before. So can you tell us a little bit more about it and the projects that you've been supporting so far, and maybe the criteria to get supported by that fund?
Sure. Not many people, me included, before I started doing this, were actually aware that UNICEF has a innovation fund, which is interested in providing both financial support and support in terms of product development for teams who are doing some high-tech stuff, which at the end can positively affect children. So that innovation fund is under the UNICEF's Global Office of Innovation, and until recently it was located in New York in the US. Now it moved to different cities in Europe, but we are functioning as a vehicle to really support innovators from underdeveloped and developing countries. So if you're a team doing something interesting in a domain of virtual reality, augmented reality, drones, blockchain, artificial intelligence and data science, and you're developing a really specific product which can benefit children, then you would be then you should apply to the innovation fund, and for one of the grants, which is usually up to $100,000 with no strings attached. So we don't take equity. I mean, UNICEF can't take equity. We just ask from you that you whatever product that you develop, you need to make it open source. And people are doing this in order to get a stronger bond with UNICEF, because that kind of opens a lot of doors globally, and it also unlocks the doors to UNICEF country offices in the world. And basically every country and territory in the world has a UNICEF country office. So you have then local UNICEF country offices working as your, in a way, supporters in a endeavor to implement your product to help children in that specific location in cooperation with governments and local stakeholders. So to sum it up, basically UNICEF Innovation Fund has calls probably 2 or 3 open calls every year. We do it in cohorts, let's say like blockchain cohort or VR, AR cohort, and so on. And you would apply with your product, and after a few processes of due diligence and everything else, you would probably end up on a demo day and pitch your product, and we'll choose like usually 15 teams per cohort to invest in. And that's how the Innovation Fund works. So far, I think that there were like 50 plus teams which got investments from a large number of countries. Maybe it's interesting to mention that if you live in the developed world, so like the US, Western Europe, Israel, so on, you're not eligible to apply for this, because we really want to focus on the global south and to innovators who are coming from underdeveloped or developing communities. So that's one of the things that we're trying to put a focus on.
Wow. Okay, that's quite massive. I love that you're focusing on helping developing countries to develop such innovative project. And yeah, that's actually a great initiative. Something.
Well, it is. Sorry for interrupting you. It's like it's fun because you actually get to meet really like smart people with great ideas who just need a bit of a push to really go global. And
we've seen from that, all around the world.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of interest also from the blockchain teams in this. That's why we also created a crypto fund. And I know it sounds like totally crazy, but a UN entity, in this case Unicef, created a crypto fund where we get the crypto, usually Ethereum and Bitcoin, from different kind of donors like Ethereum Foundation, and then we give this crypto in a form also of investment or grant, if you would like to call it that way, to teams which are developing blockchain products. And it works. I mean, it really helps with with transfers. If you're transferring Ethereum or Bitcoin, it's much more transparent, and it's much more cheaper for these large amounts of money. So it's also one of the interesting things that we're doing.
So if the UN is using crypto, well, that says a lot about the future of crypto and blockchain around the world. That's good to know.
It's a totally different topic, because people usually think that UN is, UN is a great example of decentralization. So, a bunch of different UN agencies like UNICEF, UNDP, World Health Organization, and so on, don't really talk between themselves. We don't really know what others are doing. Or you really just know in a specific domain of the stuff that you're doing. So the fact that one entity is doing something really doesn't mean much in a global scheme of things. So we are really experimenting with this. These are experiments, and UNICEF, as a UNICEF legal entity and all the country offices, we still are not allowed actually to hold any crypto. So we cannot actually have cryptocurrencies, but we work with intermediaries or custodians who actually handle all the crypto stuff for us, and we just use fiat. You just eventually end up getting fiat money as the way that UNICEF usually does things with. So it's still early, and everything that we do is an experiment, and it's probably going to stay like that for quite some time.
Yes, I can imagine, and it's good that you mentioned that all the entities are kind of doing their own things separately. And because I was speaking with someone from the World Food Program, and they were also explaining me that they were using crypto in a totally different way. So it's kind of interesting to have the different opinions and the different views and practices of the different branches of the UN. I had no idea about the crypto fund.
Yeah, it is interesting, and the idea that the Innovation Fund and UNICEF have is that we really help create open source products who anyone can really take and implement and say, okay, now this system which is taking crypto donations and then minting NFTs that you can redeem as a refugee in a refugee camp for food. You can just take that and apply it to any territory or location or by any agency, UN agency or any other stakeholder who wants to actually use this. So we are focused on developing technology and products which can be reused and used all around the world with a minimal or no changes or updates or customizations.
Yes, I'm always very excited to hear about the use of blockchain by different charities, because it's crazy how well it aligns the purpose of blockchain, decentralization, banking, the unbanked, and all of these kind of materialized best in charity projects. So I'm always excited to hear about those and about projects that you're carrying. Let's talk more in depth about Giga, because this one is quite a massive one. The partners that you're working on are also quite massive. I think there's Ericsson involved, the Musk Foundation, Dell, Jumia. So what's Giga in a nutshell?
Yeah. Giga is basically an idea which came from the initial team which was running the Innovation Fund. And the idea was to initially map all the schools in the world. So, like in order to do stuff with schools, in order to help them in different ways or to support them, you really need to know where their physical location is. So it's not like you need to have the address, because like the address is usually like the mountain way without number. So it's like useless if you, for example, are trying to get internet connectivity to that school. And that's exactly what Giga initiative is trying to do. We have a goal of connecting every school in the world to the internet. And that's it. Like it's very simple to explain what we are trying to do, but the amount of work, resources, time needed for this is huge. So these partners that we have, and we're very glad to have them, it's just like a drop of everything that I mentioned in terms of resources, what is needed to actually get every child in every school connected to internet in order to actually have access to a better future, to have access to learning materials, to have access to communities, and to make sure that those people have better lives through education and through possibilities. So that's what Giga Initiative is trying to do. Giga Initiative is a joint collaboration between Unicef and ITU, and ITU is International Telecommunication Union, like a Unicef for telcos. So we are doing that for quite some time, and Giga is a place in Unicef where many things related to blockchain are actually happening. So we are developing different products which should help us in this goal to connect every school in the world to the internet. And we are also experimenting quite a lot with NFTs for fundraising, which I'll give a bit more insight soon. But yeah, like the Giga itself is really like trying to work with both governments and the private sector in order to connect schools, and we are doing that by providing both know-how and also by providing like different services, like aggregating needs for internet connectivity so that you can get lower prices from telco providers and so on. So the goal of connecting schools is like a top-level goal, but the ways to achieve that are many. So by either optimizing current costs for the government so that they can invest in connecting more schools in their countries, or even by paying and finding different and innovative ways to actually pay for this internet connectivity. And that's also an interesting topic because we actually have a Ethereum beacon node. And we have also validator node, which is validating transactions on now successfully merged Ethereum network. And yeah, so we are using this income, or we will use this income from staking rewards for securing the Ethereum network to pay for the internet connectivity at the moment where we are going to be able to unstake these staking rewards. So it's quite an innovative way to pay for the internet connectivity, and we'll see how that will actually look in the probably 2023 when it probably goes a bit more mainstream.
Well, I'm very glad that you mentioned the beacon chain, because today, well, for the viewers, today is the merge day, so happy merge day. And I was going to ask you, we touched upon blockchain now, what are the real benefits of using blockchain instead of any other type of technology?
Yeah, it's, I mean, besides being a cool thing and besides avoiding this trap of let's do everything on a blockchain.
Yes, the hype of the blockchain hype.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay, but I mean, definitely, if you're long enough in this, in the tech industry, you know that blockchain is not and can't be answer to everything. But the use cases that we are having inside of Giga specifically, paying for internet connectivity and tracking if the telco has actually delivered the promised internet connectivity, both type, quality, speeds, and so on. That's basically a ledger. like you just say, okay, so this school used this much gigabytes or so on, and the school has paid, and the telcos has accepted this, and so on. So it's basically one big ledger, and using blockchain to developing tools to track this, like an accounting platform and payments platform, more like ability for schools to pay not in fiat but in some sort of digital tokens that we currently call connectivity credits, is a logical way to do on a blockchain. So it's something that we are piloting, and it's not obviously easy, because you can't really go in underdeveloped countries and say, like, we need you now to start issuing digital tokens and accepting them, and like paying, like giving them to schools, and like just not to get into like who can have a crypto wallet in different countries. So it's not easy to do, but after you actually solve it in enough locations, we are quite sure that it's going to go much faster, and it will be much easier to get new countries onboarded into this. So this is a part which is about specific products which are like a core service to providing internet connectivity to schools. But there's also a topic of fundraising. I mean, the fundraising is huge, the topic, and for UNICEF, it's obviously the key thing. UNICEF, and it's like, again, a bit of a trivia, like UNICEF is the only UN agency which does not have fixed budgets. So everything that we spend, we actually need to fundraise. And we fundraise a lot from countries, from governments, from private sector, from individuals, and so on. So everybody has probably seen like small, like people dressed in blue, asking them for a donation in like UNICEF branded outfits and so on. So fundraising is a huge topic, and tapping into crypto community and like NFT community, blockchain community is a great experiment for us. So for both Giga and for country offices of UNICEF. So like country offices, and especially the country office in Serbia, I think that Serbia is basically the first country office which was minting our own NFT collection and using it to fundraise for specific causes, and then accepting crypto donations via a partner, and also minting NFTs as a rewards for children.
Yes. Actually,
so it's like,
let's talk more about the NFT collection. Today, when people think about NFTs, still now, they associate it with speculation and scam, with all those art NFTs that don't necessarily have, and then some people will hate me for saying that, but objective value. The UNICEF launched a massive NFT collection, which I think you were going to talk about. But I assume that the end goal is not to scam the community. At least I hope so. So let's talk more about Patchwork and Patchwork Kingdom.
Yeah. So I mean, we really can't scam community, because it's like it would be unheard of, and
Yes.
not really like feasible, and it's like quite transparent where that money went. Like we don't have it anymore at our disposal anyway. So what we did at Giga was that we obviously wanted to jump into NFT train like during the last year. When everything related to NFTs went like totally crazy. So we decided to do a NFT collection with a twist. So we just didn't want to do the typical collection where you get an artist to do something and like some artistic expression, and does it have objective value or not, like it's debatable. But we wanted to use data that we have about schools to use them as a baseline for generating visuals and for representing schools in a form of NFT. So we created a Patchwork Kingdoms NFT collection, which has 1,000 items. And each item is basically a visual where you can see schools which either have internet connectivity or they don't have internet connectivity. So you have like Upper Kingdom, which is connected, which is to the internet, which is like shiny and bright and happy. You have birds, you have sun, you have like it's all is well. And you have like this mirror kingdom, like the below world that doesn't have internet connectivity. So schools there are like usually darker, like in some different colors, but some of them who actually have access to, let's say, cellular networks, so it's quite easy to enable connectivity to them, are showing a bit some signs, like visually represented, that they can actually get connected. So like we are very happy that we had a really like both famous and extremely talented and committed artist, Nadi Bremer, that created this collection, that basically programmed and created this collection, and that we had so much interest for this, because this was first large-scale collection that again, UN entity directly created. And we had a lot of people interested for this. Like, I think that 8,500 people applied for a whitelist after filtering all the bots and everything else. So, like we sold the whole collection after going to a public sale in a few minutes. And
wow,
it was
awesome.
quite cool. Like we charge like 0.175 it's for the NFT, because it was also like 75 years of Unicef, so we connected it with that.
Oh yeah, right, right.
Yeah, and it gave us really like a great insight of what it means to actually create an NFT collection, and we learned a lot. So there's like a whole series of blog articles that we did on Petro Kingdom's website about how we did this, what we did well, what we didn't do good, and eventually we ended up raising something like 250 ETH for Giga, which we fundraised through Unicef in France, and it basically all went into the pool that we have for connecting schools to the internet. So it's really like it's a minuscule drop in the funds which are now sitting with Giga, and which Giga is using to connect schools. But the fact that people were interested to support this, that's really a great thing. And
yes, and the fact that you're tapping in a new community as well, the crypto community. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and that's hard to do, actually. I mean, that was probably the most challenging part for us, because we were not ready, like for that kind of interest, and also we also attracted people who are from the crypto community, like who are usually also buying NFTs. Like not all of them, not even majority of them were like that, but a lot of people were just jumping into this because like it looked like a good investment to flip NFTs and like earn some money out of that. So that's definitely not something that we wanted to do, because like we as UNICEF and we as Giga, I mean, we cannot offer like perks in a typical way that you expect from like a very well-known NFT collection. So like we cannot give stuff, we cannot organize parties, we cannot do all this typical utility stuff from the 2021 that were quite popular. So we also think that a lot of people were not really thrilled because of that, but our long-term goal is to nurture a community which actually cares about connecting schools to the internet. So our goal is to really like encircle ourselves with people who are like who possess these NFTs, because it's a symbol of their dedication to actually do something good for the generations which are coming and which will come of age, and which will probably use crypto and blockchain much more than we are using it now. So that's kind of community that we are now trying to develop. And since we launched, like the collection was minted in January this year, we've been working on technical stuff, like doing leaderboards, doing like different kind of stats, doing a map where you can see, where you can unpack your NFT and show the location of every school which is in your NFT. Is it connected or not? The name of the school and so on. So we're just trying to expand a bit more and create some sort of connection between people who have the NFT and the school which is actually in the field and maybe needs something to happen for it.
Thank you. I have actually one last question because you talked about the blog that you made explaining the different challenges that you've been through while fundraising with NFTs. If there was, let's say, a smaller, perhaps entity, a smaller nonprofit that would like to use this methodology, what would be your best 3 advice that you would give to them in a nutshell?
In a nutshell, create a community first. So first create a community or leverage your existing community, and then create smart contracts, then create the art, then do all the stuff which is related to NFT community. Because like NFTs are a trend, and it's a very good trend. It's the easiest onboarding to a blockchain stuff and crypto and so on. But at the end, it's about people. It's about the social capital. It's about the trust that you have with your community. And then if you have that, NFTs are then just an technically easy way to actually receive some funding and to give something which is in a way, I cannot say tangible, but which is written in a blockchain and which represents the dedication of each individual who bought that NFT to a specific cause that people care about. So create a community, focus on community, be in touch with community, explain things to them, let them be heard. But always, like as you're building products in tech domain, don't listen to everybody. Like you can't make everyone happy, but just make sure that you have a healthy and continuous communication with people in your community. And then, like if you do an NFT collection or you do a crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter or whatever else, you'll have results. So NFTs are just a tool. Use them like that, and don't do NFTs just because it's cool. You need to really understand what's the role of NFTs and which communities you can target with NFTs. Obviously, crypto community. So there's a very low chance that anybody who is not in crypto is going to create a wallet, on-ramp themselves to crypto by buying ETH and then participating in either mint or OpenSea sale or auction where they need to wrap their Ethereum. So it's crazy. So don't do that. It's really just create a community and then see what's the best way to engage with them.
So the first advice was the community. There's also the utility that you want to give to the NFT. It's not going to be probably a utility token like the ones that are trendy right now, but still, it needs to be a use that it's really thought through. And the third advice that would be, don't listen to everybody.
Yeah, I mean the topic of utility. I mean it's also fine that if an NFT doesn't have utility. Like we are now so used that you expect some perks or some benefits after you buy something. Sometimes you do, especially in this charity world or the fundraising world, you do something and the fact that you got NFT is a reward for itself. I mean, you can use, if you're a corporate entity, you can showcase that NFT in your venue, in your hallway, on your events or whatever. You can say we stand for this. So this is important. This topic is important for us. And this is what we're doing.
Mostly as a creator, focus on the value that you want to give to the NFT, to your community, and what it's going to reflect.
Yes. And the technical part is either easy or hard, but my suggestion is always to make it easy. You don't need complicated things if you are not a core team of Solidity devs who can really do stuff and who can do great smart contracts. So make it simple. Everything that you can make simple, make it simpler. You want some complicated gamification, don't do that. I mean, don't do that initially. Do a first pilot campaign with something which is just collecting, and that's it. Then after it goes well, think about raising the bar and doing something more complicated, but don't overthink anything.
Keep it simple. And what's next for the Unicef in terms of innovation?
The UNICEF innovation goals are really to find new ways to do things which benefit children. So it doesn't have to be technology. So on a global level, UNICEF is really trying to innovate and to transform itself from this picture of middle or older age people who are just like bureaucrats and doing stuff to a organization which is actually in touch with the needs in the field and which is responding to the global trends. So I think that we are going to continue to explore new technologies in the domain of children. And we are using drones to deliver vaccines now in certain countries which have really challenging mountains or lakes or whatever terrain. So these kind of things are really the core of UNICEF. So to find a technology which can really be implemented and used in what UNICEF is doing at its core, and that's health, everything basically related to children, but health, education. Those are the things that I think are going to be the prime for disruption or innovation, if you want to look at that from that way. And for us at Giga, Giga will continue to work on blockchain stuff, and I think that there will be new. I will not say NFT collections because I think that we are trying to transcend a bit this NFT stuff that we're doing. So we'll mean probably a new set of NFTs, but they won't be the typical NFT collection which you just collect and that's it. But they will be a way to make interaction between schools in the field and people who care about those schools, be they alumni of their schools or some random people who care about certain school in Africa or in South Asia. These NFTs are going to be a bond or a tool to connect them and to enable schools to unlock funding or some other benefits by having people interact with the NFTs. So it's still a very high level idea, and we are just now trying to see what's technically possible at this moment with keeping it simple as a core logic that we are trying to do. But yeah, this using NFTs, using and leveraging decentralization as one of the key concepts that we want to use, that's something that's going to be our main guiding light in 2023.
So going back to the principles that you stated earlier with the focus on the community and keeping it simple. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard for us, people at UNICEF are not great at building communities because, whenever you speak in front of UNICEF, it's you need to really care about certain values and you cannot really be very opinionated about certain things. So for this laid back communities and for this natural flow of information and exchange of whatever, it's challenging a bit. And don't even let me started on how much time it actually takes to hire somebody to do specific parts of the job, like community management and so on. It's almost a half a year that you need to finalize that kind of things.
Wow.
So yeah, it's challenging, but we are also trying to work in given limitations that we have and to do the best.
And you're doing great.
Thanks, Stella.
So
it's really
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's really great that we end up meeting people and organizations which really care about the stuff which we are doing. Although it's quite high level, and it really needs a long time to pass before you see the impact and the results. So we're really glad that we connected with you.
And we're happy to connect you and leverage our network to help the best way we can. What's the best way to keep up with your updates and to support the UNICEF innovation-wise?
Yeah, in terms of innovation and technology, I would say the Twitter account is probably the best one to follow. So UNICEF Innovation, a Twitter account, and Giga Global Twitter account are the locations which are most frequently updated and which we really care about. So if you're interested in Patchwork Kingdoms, we also have a Twitter account for Patchwork Kingdoms, and you can also take a look at the OpenSea. There's if you're interested to actually get in this community, our NFTs are now on quite a discount. So yeah, like Twitter is our preferred medium to use to communicate with the community.
Thank you so much, Vlad, for your time. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thanks, Stella. This was really an enjoyable experience, and I hope that we do it again in the next year.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you again, and this was the Block 101 podcast.